What up, everybody? I know it's been about 4 months. 4 months. You see the title. First, a little business. TASW this Saturday at the Houston Indoor Sports Arena, I believe. They're having a show. I will be in attendance backstage consulting. I'm doing some consulting work. I was at the Rumble backstage as well. It was good to see some of the guys and to see to meet some of the newer guys that are a part of the current roster. I'm looking forward to this Saturday, and consulting's fun. I do like working with talent and whatnot, so I'm looking forward to it. Now, Memorial Day weekend is Comic Palooza. Everyone, I'm sure, in the area is well aware of it. But Reality Wrestling will be a part of it that Saturday and Sunday, I believe the May 23rd and 24th. They're going to have, I want to say 3 tapings, but you can go to the Reality Wrestling app. Yes, they have an app. I know it's available on the Android store because I have it. You can get more details there, or you can go to realitywrestling.com for times. But speaking of comic, now I'll be there again doing some consulting and whatnot, which is what I love to do, help producing some of the segments and working with a lot of the talent. Very much enjoy that. I'm really liking working with a lot of that, a lot of the talent over there. But that Friday, May 22nd, at 2:30 p.m., I will be part of a panel. I was invited by Gregory Vallet, who's been on my show, but he's Tex Lone Star and one of the creators of Doomsday Wrestling. It's going to be a panel with him and the creator of Nightmare Pro Wrestling, John David Guetta. We're doing a panel. It's storytelling with pro wrestling as a medium, so it should be a fun topic. So if you're in the area and you got nothing to do on that Friday, or if you've been walking around, come by, check it out. Again, 2:30 p.m. It'll be moderated by Aaron Garcia. I really appreciate Gregory throwing out the invite, and should be a lot of fun. And again, with Reality Wrestling there, just a great weekend. Plus, last year I didn't really get to walk around as much, so this year I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to walk around and kind of check out everything that's going to be a part of it. I know Comic Palooza's grown year by year, so this one should be no different. Now, like I mentioned, it's been 4 months, I think, since I released a video. Haven't released one since the beginning of 2015, the end of 2014. The last one was with Examiner reporter Philip Barnard. Fun conversation. I really enjoy doing the conversation pieces. Maybe over Comic Palooza I'll be able to get some. I really like doing face-to-face conversations, and kind of long form, or however much time we can get. And maybe during Comic Palooza I'll have an opportunity to sit down with some of the Reality Wrestling talent. Maybe sit down with Kevin. I don't know, it's just crazy, man, how much it's grown, and to think, we're getting to share a locker room with the likes of Bret Hart and Ricky Steamboat at the last show, and again, getting to work with a lot of the talent and some of the guys that I've been working with for a number of years. And it's just great to see their maturation and how they've grown as performers. I can't speak highly enough. But between that last video and, there were times throughout between then and now where I've wanted to release videos. Whether it was like the Royal Rumble, or Fastlane, or Roman Reigns, his ascent, or WrestleMania, and Brock Lesnar, and Daniel Bryan, and Sting, and the Batman vs. Superman trailer, which was awesome. I don't care what anyway, y'all can have my money. I am going to go see that. or Avengers Age of Ultron, you're gonna have my money probably more than once. Same thing for Batman v Superman. I'm gonna watch those numerous times in the theaters, because that's, unless I get an enormous screen, but I mean, movie theater quality, man, you can't beat it. Or the Star Wars trailer, again, another one. You're just gonna get my money. I cannot wait. Daredevil, man, I will say this: Wilson Fisk, genius, just. So, and Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil, just I really enjoyed that whole series, and I'll probably watch it again. The Jinx, blown away by that. The Walking Dead, man, Better Call Saul. Gustavo Mendoza returning. I remember last January being around and getting to see the last match prior to his return, and him being away for as long as he was, and it sounding pretty much like he was done. Like he didn't have any. I mean, I had him on my show. It didn't sound like he was contemplating coming back. But it's great to have him back, and his promos as of late. And there was this video package that aired on the Cube, which I think will re-air this Saturday. So early, kind of earlier, 1 a.m. But I was blown away by that package. I mean, such a great package because it just told like the history. Like if you were just watching for the first time, it was just that great of a package. But I talk about my role as far as helping produce segments and working with the film crew, and talking to talent, kind of working with them, brainstorming with them, trying to get the most out of some of those guys, seeing some of the training that's going on, and the men and women there work very hard, and I know everyone from all the staff, everybody works extremely hard there, and should be really proud of again, how much reality wrestling's grown, and the reputation and the buzz and all that, and I just hope it continues. Again, a reality wrestling app that I got to download, pretty cool stuff. And then Tough Enough. I would tell anyone, if they really have aspirations, I mean, understand that is a possible way in, and if you have a story that really is going to draw a lot of people into, and you're entertaining, and you've got a minute to kind of sell yourself to them, and be prepared for it to possibly appear on Raw or SmackDown, whether it's for good reasons or bad reasons, I would just say, man, good luck. Good luck. It's an in. I mean, if you have faith in yourself, and those who think it's a scam, hey, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you say it is. But good luck to those that are trying out. Again, there's so much to talk about, but at the same time, there's so much content out there. So many people's opinions. Mine is just one of many, so such saturation of content, and not just like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Vine or any variation or number of ways that content is distributed, streaming or otherwise, or podcast or any, there's just saturation of opinion, saturation of content. So I don't know, I would just let everyone else talk about it. I have my opinions of the stuff. Some stuff I agreed with, some stuff I didn't. There's stuff that I really love that I would talk about any day, all day. Wrestling's the vast majority of it because it's what I enjoy. And I watch tons of it. NXT, I watch New Japan now that I'm able to. I watch the network here and there. I watch Raw, SmackDown. I would watch TNA, I just don't have the channel. Same thing with Lucha Underground. I had it at one point, really enjoyed it, liked it, thought it was really out of the box with some of the execution, some of the things that they're trying to do, some of the influences that I really dig. I mean, just so much news out there, so many things, tragic and great stories. I know people have their opinions of stuff. But like the video, like the title says, it's my mindset now. But really, to talk about the now, I'd have to talk about back then. Every year around this time, it's a time for reflection. You know, I look back and I think of where I'm at, and I assess. I've always said, well, when it's no longer a certain way for me, and it's not fulfilling in one form or facet, well, then it would be time to move on. That's been my thing for the last, probably since year one. Year one was kind of turbulent towards the end of it, as I was getting into year two. Contemplated being done at that point, but that's another story for another time. So we rewind a little bit to 2013. 2013, I'm in the midst of this run. Literal, some people call it historic. I'm cool with that. It's been mentioned that way. That's for other people to decide. I just went out there and performed. I had a goal. It was to show and prove to everyone, every show I was a part of, that I was on point, that I was a good example, that I was going to be a standard bearer. Like, I took it very seriously. And I'm in the midst of this run and making history, but at the same time, you know, I had just lost my grandmother. She's like one of the strongest pillars of support for me. Just such an, you know, she's my grandmother. I mean, raised me to a degree, and when in my early years, and took great care of me, and the biggest fan, like my faith. You know, the faith that I have in myself, a lot of that comes from her, because she, unconditional, like, you're the greatest. And would tell me all the time. And it, I mean, destroyed me. I'm not gonna, you know, I mean, I wouldn't show it, but it floored me. And it affected me. And it affected me to such a degree that the next time I wrestled, I really just wasn't there. And I had arguably a bad match against a very good opponent, in Abel Andrew Jackson. I felt like I had lost a step. And I started to have concerns, like, I mean, mind you, I'm in the midst of a title run. 2 weeks after that match, where I'm doubting myself, like the pain is setting in, the fear, the doubt. And that's stuff you can't have and be performing at that level. You've got to erase it. 2 weeks later, I'm winning the CWF title. So now I'm a TASW, HPW, GCPPW, CWF champion. Like, all those letters. I'm the champion of 3 promotions. In some respects, I'm the constant between the 3, and performing at the top and trying to be the example, and like trying to be a good example, trying to be positive, and like a lot of the reason to come back was to make amends for some of my attitudes in the past. Like, just approach it from a positive standpoint. But with that fear and with that doubt and with that pain, it came those voices, the negatives, stuff that plagued me early in my career, that just created this huge boulder on my shoulder, and not because I was working out, but just boulders, you know, like the weight of it. I'm carrying the weight of 3 different companies. But again, like, I remember having a conversation with Kevin and kind of saying, I mean, I'm in the midst of this stuff. I don't know how much longer I can do it. And again, it stemmed from, you know, not feeling that great. It was like the day after a match, and I just won a title, and I'm tired and kind of beat up, and my legs hurt, and all this stuff. And I start to think, man, I don't want to be forced out. Like, I want to have my own exit strategy. And I thought, well, I could work creatively with reality wrestling. I've worked with Kevin. I think I've gained his trust. And it's something I would want to do. I love working with talent. I love creating. I love those aspects. But being, in essence, a producer, there's not as much stress because I'm just focused on helping the performers get the most out of their performance. I'm not worried about any other aspect. I mean, I'm worried about the finished product, but my main focus is just focusing on working with talent. I really enjoy doing that. So I could kind of see the exit strategy. And I did tell them, look, I'm not going to say anything to anyone, but I'll probably take a break after I start losing the titles. Because at some point, everything comes to an end. And it was like, but that would be the exit strategy. But again, I have that doubt. Being stubborn. And then my body was like, well, hold on, buddy. I'd kind of fallen out of a routine, and I hurt myself working Thunderjet at TASW. Hip flexor, hip pointer. I know it hurt. Went to the doctor. Wouldn't clear me. Told me it took about 3 weeks, a month to heal. It's not going to be very good to try to do anything on it. I had a CWF title match. Couldn't defend it because I could barely walk. They stripped me of the title. I understood it, but at the same time, at that point, it's like, okay, well, unless I get a rematch, because that would be my thinking, give me a rematch. I was just stripped, medically uncleared to wrestle. So when I come back from injury, because I wasn't really, a month later, I'm good, and I'm defending the TASW title and the Hurricane Pro title, and still wrestling at a pretty good, pace at that point. Healed up pretty nicely, but we could never really work anything out. Then they didn't want to put me in the title picture, and I just was like, well, I don't want to just wrestle here to wrestle. They didn't run enough for me to feel like I need to invest in time. So if it's not for a title, because that's mainly why you brought me in, then I'm not worried about what other thing you're pitching. Don't get me wrong, they always were good with me, but that is what it is. So there was that. So one title's gone. But I was alright. Then there was HPW. And I'd been feuding with Robbie and Ryan and Jared and a whole slew of guys. And my title reign was considered, I've been told it was the longest title reign in that company's history. It went through a name change, but I was the constant. And worked to be the best guy there. And felt kind of burnt out towards the end. Because I'm not just worrying about them, I'm worried about, and I'm putting out content to hype up my appearances to their stuff. And I don't know, when I lost it, I was fine with when I lost it. I lost it to Robbie, I was cool with it. It was triple threat, I didn't mind. I had in my mind, okay, well, I'll take a break. We talked, and because they're such good guys, I wanted to continue to work for them. And I got to work like Ashton Jacobs, which was cool because he's a good, solid guy to work. I got to work Major Mark and him and Ashton, and that was really solid. I really am a fan of Major Mark. And then I got to work AJ, and AJ had been a guy I wanted to work for a while. But in the back of my head, that voice, the same voice that if CWF approached me, that voice of why, what's the payoff? And that's kind of the wrong attitude to have, because the payoff is, hey man, I get to work your show. But I was like, man, I'm putting out content, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, like go do that with me as well. Like, let's put out a video of me and AJ. This was a match I really wanted. I was like, please have me work this guy. I really think this kid's got something. And he delivered, man. I thought it was a great match, and I thought it was a great way of going out, because Reality Wrestling had just gotten a national deal. So I was like, hey man, well, no, I'll be a team player, even though I'm not, I'm kind of really transitioning into a consultant role. I'm cool with that. Producer role, I'm cool with that. Because I want to take a break. I want to take a break. But really, when I worked AJ that time, I think initially we were going to do like a best of 3. I think that was what I wanted to do because I wanted to work him. He was one of the main reasons I was going to remain there if I wasn't going after the title. And those people have always been good to me. Always treated me with a lot of respect, and the fans and crew, everybody. I do miss working there. But with the exclusivity thing, and hey man, take a break. I can always come back. Always come back. I was one to have history on my side. Then the TASW thing. Another thing. I remember having a conversation with Zenzen when I first won the title, and that guy holds the record. I think, held it for 2 years straight. I think he holds the record. I was close to it. I was close to it by 4 months. I want to say, because I lost it near October, November, December, January, February, March. About 5 months. 5 months away. That was my hope. My goal was like, I want to be etched in the history books of this company with them, specifically because that was one of the companies I wanted to work for. One of my goals was to win that belt. But I remember Zenzen saying at some point, it's just not going to be fun. And I didn't want it to ever be like that. I have immense respect for Bob. I have immense respect for the lineage of that company. I gave my heart, soul, all of it to it. And when I was champ, I wanted everyone to know that was the best company. Period. Because I worked for it. Same thing with any company that I work for. I want people to assume that it's got solid people there, because, why else would I be there? Dark Star, a guy I'd been feuding with. We went through, Humble Rumble 20, where I won the, retained, and it was still marching along on my almost 2-year reign. And it was just time. And I was fine with it. It was kind of like the weight had been lifted. I no longer had any titles and I could walk away. And Bob knew by that point that I was going to take a break. I think when I got approached for Humble Rumble 21, they gave me a choice, and one was like having a match with Ransom and Cedric Payne, and I think in the back of my head I was like, well, that's cool, I like those guys, but I haven't been back since losing the title. Why would I immediately go into something that had nothing to do with the title? Like that was the only argument I may have had. It wasn't one that I brought up, because they gave me another option, which was be the special guest referee of this title match between Dark Star and Jason Sullivan, the two guys I had faced at Humble Rumble 20. So it, from a storyline standpoint, made perfect sense. And then I made my presence felt at the end, and I, caused something. Because in the back of my head, I'm like, well, if I come back, I would face Dark Star, because he's the guy who beat me. And I would want to make sure that I would be the one who would beat him. But, again, you have the doubts. And there was probably a part of me, like, HPW, what I said after the AJ Rush match was kind of my way of saying goodbye. When I lost to Dark Star, my way of saying goodbye. Then I got approached about doing the PCW Reunion show, or like the Supershow. They had a reunion show, but it was back in December, and that was the same night as Reality Wrestling's Christmas Chaos, and I couldn't make it because I had responsibilities at Reality Wrestling. It was a big show. It was one of those turning point shows. It really turned out to be a magical evening. and I was glad to be a part of it, even a small part. But I got approached about doing this super show or reunion show, and I was like, no, that could work. That could work. Now, there were a couple of cons. And again, this is kind of the ego. This is where the ego, that voice in your head, like, what? The old Steve DeMarco just kind of like, what? One was they wanted us to sell tickets, and which would have been fine and dandy had I lived in town in Arlington, and I didn't. I'm in Houston. Now, I could tell people on Facebook, hey, go talk to Thomas Bussey, but I got where they were coming from, and I understand that, hey, while I'm coming from Houston, well, it's still my choice, and they did let me sell my merch, and I sold. I mean, I didn't lose money. I think the other thing was it wasn't really a PCW reunion show so much as it was kind of a super show. And it was MPX guys were brought in, and I understood it because Richard writes for MPX, and all good. But there was a part of me that was like, well, man, I really wanted to come and like see familiar faces and kind of have like a high school reunion of sorts, and like where are they now kind of deal. And then it was kind of like my placement on the show, kind of middle of the show. Not for anything, against someone I don't really know that well. I think it had changed a couple of times. And I guess in the back of my mind I was thinking, well, it would have been nice to have been one of the main guys, maybe work on Fox or someone else along those lines, maybe even AJ or something. Or even like a dream match, like a return match against Dalton, or working Matthew Palmer, like someone where it'd be kind of a generational thing, or Gregory James. I think I looked at those guys, but I'm middle of the card, selling my merch and whatnot. But that was probably the best thing for me. No pressure. I wasn't going to carry the show. I didn't have to carry the show. Just had to go out there and entertain. Keep it short and sweet. I think, in fact, by the third match, we were an hour behind. I remember talking to my opponent, who had a great mindset about it. And I jokingly was just like, man, they don't care. The fans, all they want to see is me wave to them, say a few kind words, and the sexy kick. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. And he had a talking entrance, and it worked. I mean, the elements were there. Like, if you watch it, and you go look at the tribute video on my page, and it's the montage of super kicks. But at the end is the actual segment. The segment. It was, here I come out, he comes out, and there's my shine, he comes out, that's his heat, he keeps getting his heat, super kick, there's the glory, say a few words, thank the fans, and that was like another way of saying goodbye, and saying goodbye kind of to a way like, I don't know when I'm going to perform again. But it was a good segment. For me. No pressure. We were in there like 6 minutes tops. And I enjoyed every minute of it. It was such a pleasure. Simple, easy, got a great reaction from the fans, and compliments from everybody, and it was fun. It was good to kind of clear the air with Fox, like face to face. We cleared the air like in messages, and but we got to clear the air, and it was great, man. It was great to see that guy. It was great to see all the guys, Mace and the many others that I got to see. And I don't want to like Team Action, and I love those guys, and Code and all of them. Randy Wayne, and getting to see Gregory James and Andy Dalton, LaMotta, and I mean there's just Paul London and Angel Blue and Claudia, and there's so many. Richard Hill, it was great to see Richard. And I would do another one. Like you know, when I think about it, it's like, man, they gave me like the night that I needed. A really good little like return. And the reaction was great. Reaction from fans during the meet and greet, and those who bought merch and all that. But there's something, it's hard to even talk about, because I don't talk about it very often. And not to a whole slew of people. There are people that are aware. But with everything. I was coming to the realization, and it was a bitter pill to swallow. Like, it was bitter in some respects to say the idea of WWE, that window's potentially closed. I had made peace with that when I was hurt with my back, before I returned. And when after I returned, I said, well, I would try. Like, went to gut check, thinking a possibility, and you know, could have been a possibility, who knows. Returning to books, you know, some of those things of just like wanting to learn, wanting to improve, at the same time helping share my knowledge. But like doubt and pain, like I train with Sam and I tweak something and it would set me back further. And I'd stress myself out, and there'd be pressure and pain, and I would start thinking of the age thing, because I would hear, you know, you get bombarded with like kind of a negative connotation to as you get older. Like people tell them the Undertaker should retire. It's like, man, you have no right to make that call. Like, if you're a fan, just enjoy the fact that he's still performing, because there will come a day when he won't perform. Then what are you going to do? What are you going to say? You know, the age stuff. I think like it really hit me when people would talk about like Kevin Garnett being like a grandpa in the league, and he's 34, and I'm going, what the f? And again, trying to make peace with the fact that, well, at my age, you know, if I generated some buzz of some sort and caught their eye and could get to NXT and just kind of be like, just go for broke. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, so I'm just going for broke. And knowing that my bump card was filling up. You know, and those bumps are precious. Those few that I have left, I don't know how many I have left. That's the thing, you don't know. You're just trying to not fill it up. So I'm very cognizant of it. And injuries bug me, because it's like, okay, am I getting, have I lost a step? Like when I worked Able that one time, and I felt like I had lost a step. And even though I was still performing at a high level at other places, it's like, well, it was a temporary slip. Well, but it could be the onset of something. And all this stuff's going on in my head. And I'm just trying to hold it together. And more importantly, I'm not telling anyone. I mean, when Robin Williams passed, that hit me so hard. And I hit the world pretty hard. But I was like, man, if that guy, who brings such joy to everyone, is just so depressed, what's that say about me? I mean, that guy's a success. That guy's entertained the world over. Like, my goal was to do that. My goal was to get to WWE. I mean, when I first came to books in 2006, that was the goal, was like, get that contract. Prove to everyone that I am as good as I think I am. That those that respect my skill aren't crazy. You know, those that think I'm good, like, they're validated. More so for myself, more so for my family, like my grandmother, everybody. You know, to get that contract. That was my solitary goal. And so to kind of see that opportunity closing, and then again the pain, the age, and hearing like, you hear it from, I mean, you pay attention to any guy who analyzes it, and if they talk about an older wrestler and just the way that they talk about that person, it's like, man, I revere the legends and those that paved the way. Like, I don't look at them. They're timeless to me. I would want that same respect to a degree. And it was around that time when the lack of motivation, the injuries, the pain, the mindset, it was like in a dark place, and I had no outlet to it. And I'm almost at my breaking point, and we have Code organizes this roast for me. And it was a little bit before this that I had reached my breaking point, where everything just kind of there was such a weight. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I wasn't telling anyone. I started to tell people, and I started to feel better. Because now I'm just letting people know, and I'm kind of letting it just off my chest. And I don't want to hold any of that. But there's, at times I hold on to a little bit of it, and I try not to, but it's there. But it was around the roast. I just trying to hold it together. Things were just fresh. And I appreciate everyone who showed up for it. I don't know, like I tried to have the time of my life. Just tried to be in the moment, enjoy the moment, not be concerned about anything else. It was tough because all this stuff was just going on in my head and my heart, you know, weighing on me. Still. And that was, you know, doing the conversation stuff and whatnot. So where am I at today? Because I mean, that's where I was. To say I don't struggle with dark stuff is, I don't know. It's easier now, to a degree. I've found some peace, because I have kind of achieved my exit strategy. Like, being a consultant is fun. It's fun. I enjoy the creative process. Like the panel, I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'm hoping that does work out and I'm able to do it. My time at Reality Wrestling, I enjoy it. I mean, the chance to get to work with Bruce Pritchard and get to work with Booker T and Stevie Ray and all the talent. Mysterious Q, to see his growth, and Ryan Davidson, Brian Keith. To see the stuff that's on the horizon, to get to work with Kevin, to work with Gustavo. I mean, there's just a list of people that I could talk about and sing their praises. But I mean, again, that's probably for another time. But there's that part of me that aches to perform. That, in many ways, there's that voice in my head that's like, you are better than a lot of these people. And it's not, I don't mean it from a place of disrespect. It's just like, I see guys and I go, man, I love to tell stories. I love to create memories. That's what my goal is when I go out there, and to suspend that disbelief. And I feel like I'm learning that I just would be a better performer now than I've been in the past. And I feel like I've been a pretty solid performer in the past, if not a great performer in the past. So there's that. And it's somewhat a conflict, because I go, on the one hand, I want to help everyone. On the other hand, I kind of want to reap some of the rewards that these guys are getting and gals are getting to reap, you know, as far as like be in front of the camera and have the spotlight be focused on me. But I go, well, I like what I do at Reality Wrestling as far as, you know, my behind the scenes work. That's not to say that I don't want to perform. It's just, it's got to be the right situation, I guess. And the right opportunity's got to present itself. And it's one of those things to kind of throw it out there, hey man, I'm willing to go take bookings, or I'm feeling like that's what I want to do. At the same time, I want to get there. And I'm not quite there. I would say probably in the next month or two, I've been starting to work towards that. I'm happy to report that I've been able to get in the ring a few times here and there. And while it's just the basics, really, to kind of get reacclimated to stuff and to kind of see where the pain is and where the pain isn't, and then how I feel a day or two after, how I feel a week after. It's progress. I'm just taking my time kind of listening to where things are. Same time, I've started training more regularly in the gym. Sam had found this great regimen called 30 Days Out, which is I think from bodybuilding.com. The cool thing is there's an app. I think you go to bodybuilding.com and it's like from Body Space, but it's a really good tracker of your workouts and calendar, and it, it is kind of glitchy. You kind of have to get used to it. It did take me a couple of weeks to really kind of get it to where my phone worked well with it. But I don't know, I've been enjoying the workout. I've been doing it about a month straight during the weekends. During the mornings. Diet's improved, but still a work in progress. I do like foods that are not good for you, and but they're so delicious. I can't for certain say when the next video is going to be. It could be next week. I don't know, maybe I'll have something to report. More to report. As I get more details, I'll put them out there. If I see something I like, I'll talk about it. If you have questions or questions that you want answered, if there's something that you want me to discuss in particular, or you want my opinion on something in particular, feel free to send me a message via Facebook, or that's more than likely the best place to get a hold of me is Facebook. Obviously, if you're watching this, you can find me on Facebook. Sorry, it's a bad plug. That's just not the best. But hey, I'm not. Hey, you're watching this, so I got your business. I think that's about it. I'll try to keep everyone updated. I've got a couple more weeks of this routine, and then I think I'm going to continue it until my vacation, and then at that point I'll probably make a change. So I'm going to try to be a little more strict with my diet and kind of see how the next 3 weeks go, and see what kind of, if any real major changes occur. But maybe I'll give a full report as we get closer to then, or as I wrap it up, which will probably be around a week before Comic Palooza. So but and then I can give you a little more detail if I haven't chimed in before then, but I plan on it. So I appreciate anyone who happened to see this or share it or like it or tell people about it. Who knows, man? The more views I get, maybe the more often I do videos. Again, if you have questions, feel free to send them my way, or if there's something you want me to talk about. Otherwise, I'll just talk about whatever I want to talk about, because it's my show. Oh my god. Until the next time, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy. But all of you, because you're here hanging out with me, so you, of course, reek of all those. Until the next time, later.